Good morning. Welcome to another edition of We Are the South Stand. Good morning, Manchester City, where I am joined by my three Aussie mates, Patrick, Alan, and Nick once again, aka yes, Martin, I'm Robin Mancunian way.
Good lad, good lad.
We also have Patrick in the corner, but Patrick is off doing Patrick stuff. Now, what is the topic of today's show? The topic of today's show is further moaning after the derby, because I haven't heard you four moan. And to be honest with you, I probably haven't finished moaning as well. So, yeah, it was a shit show. And I guess probably now even more so, not that we knew it was going to happen anyway, but Newcastle made light work of Leicester. Yeah. And I guess we need to discuss and look at whether Champions League football is realistic or not. Patrick, you good?
Yeah, I'm good. I hope
you enjoy the wedding.
Yeah, the wedding was okay. Yeah, no, weddings are not my thing. So, but you still have to soldier on. But it's okay.
Yeah, good. Weather was beautiful.
Yeah, weather was good. Yeah. And the wedding took place outside, so
yeah, lovely. And Patrick, you good? Or Pat? Sorry, Pat. Patrick and Pat. That's how I'm gonna differentiate between the two. Pat, you good?
Yeah, good, mate. Things are right over this part of the world. I'm sure Alan and Nick will say the same, or maybe not Alan, because we know what he's like.
Yeah, Alan, away from football, how are you?
I'm all right, actually. I'm all right.
Oh, that's a good thing. That's a good thing, all right, isn't it?
A good day at work.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just about. I've got Lancashire hot pot in the slow cooker, ready for eating when I finish this.
All right. What's the temperature in Australia at the moment?
It's been about 18.
Well, depends on where you are. I mean,
18's not too bad.
If you're in Melbourne, yeah, okay. But if you're in Marble Bar, different story. It might be about 45 degrees.
Where Alan is,
it's dark. It's 7. It's still 20. It's still 20 degrees in Sydney. Bloody hell!
Yeah,
living large.
So it's going to be warm this weekend, though. We're going to go up to 29. Apparently.
Right. So, quick question for you is: would you still be having hot pot at 29 degrees?
Me, yeah, because I like it. It's one of my favourite dishes.
I mean, one of my favourite dishes is curry goat rice, peas, coleslaw, plantain. However, right, if it's 35 degrees outside, I'm probably not going to have that. I'm probably going to have a chicken Caesar salad.
Listen, every time my mother and father moved to Hobart 10 years ago, my sister's been there 35. Well, every time I go down to see my mother and father down there, the mum cooks me a Lancashire hot pot because she knows it's my favourite. And no matter what the weather is, I get it with beetroot and HP sauce. Trust me, we get it.
Oh, if the food's good, I don't care what the weather's doing.
I don't know.
Like, I've had plus 30 degree days, and I've ordered like pho, Vietnamese like pho. I've ordered that, Uber Eats or whatever. If the food's good,
but I hear you.
The weather doesn't make a shit of difference.
I hear you with a lot of things, but with hot pot, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, you're working up a sweat with that.
Beautiful, mate. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
I love it.
And Nick, how are you? You all good?
Yeah, good, mate. Similar part of the world. Not having hot pot tonight with Alan. Masters on the cards, mate.
Good. Right. So, I feel like we should start off with, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Let's start off with Alan. Alan, give us your take on the derby, mate.
You can work the positivity up from there.
It started off when I saw the team sheet. I swore at the TV. The first thing, in disgust that
he swears at the TV before he turns it on.
Listen, Gonzalez.
This is shit. The remote is shit.
Well, why Nico Gonzalez?
The living room shit.
Shit. Why Nico Gonzalez wasn't in the team, I couldn't believe it. First thing, I'm thinking, what the exact words? What the fuck are you doing, Pep? And it went when I saw that. I saw the midfield. I'd be honest with you, I feared defeat. Okay? I thought, those players that are playing midfield a few years ago, fine, because they're still young enough and they're still fit enough. But now, unfortunately, they're no longer up to the standard that is required for us to get victories away from home, especially at Old Trafford. I couldn't believe what I was. When I saw KDB playing in a false 9 up front, in a 3 up front, I'm thinking, what are you doing? Seriously? What he's done this before. We all know he has this season. And it ended in sheer disaster. We were lucky we didn't lose. That was my reaction.
Anyone else got any other takes on the lineup? Patrick, you're on mute.
I'm saying you're going to the wrong individual for that. I echo the same thing as Alan does. I just feel like this guy is taking a piss, and I told people this is just absolute taking a piss. Because you know what? Why would you buy a DM who's 23 years old, who every time he has played it makes the team look good, and then you go back to this setup? It's all sentiment, I think. So there's a bit of sentiment, which I never thought Pep Guardiola would end up having. But you know what? It comes with old age sometimes, The older you get, the more sentimental you get. I think even as a person, you understand. Sometimes you let things go that when you were younger, you couldn't let go. Because Pep Guardiola used to be ruthless. Let's not forget there's moments used to say, oh my God, why are you treating that guy like that? Like, why are you doing this? But it was part of his thing.
Question for you, Patrick.
Yeah.
Was Pep Guardiola ruthless 3/4 of the way through his first season?
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah, I think he was. No.
He's still playing. Bro, no. He was still playing the old players. He was still playing a lot of the usual suspects.
Yeah, but do you remember? I'm talking about even the first seasons when he got here.
No, I mean his first season at Manchester City, where our defense was old as fuck, right? He kept sticking with them.
Yeah, but
then hold on.
We have the same dilemma now, but that's in the midfield, not the defense.
And then in the summer he replaced them, and we didn't see them again.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. He was planning. He told them most of them knew they're leaving that time.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. You're putting it down to.
Oh, there's a difference here, though. There's a difference here. There's a difference. That time he didn't have a choice of defense. There was nobody to put out there. But this time he's got a choice of a midfield he can play. What I'm trying to say is, why have they bought new players in January and you're doing this? I think this guy, what I've been we studied the other day. I was like, there's certain players here I think he doesn't 100% sign off on. Even that thing where people are like, oh, Pep is in control, he signs off. I think there's certain players where I said this before. Somebody told me, oh, shush, there's no way they can just buy. Because I heard him with the Mamouche thing. I was like, why is he making that statement? It's like Cheeky came to me and told me we are buying Mamouche. Then I had to go ask my friends in Germany how Mamouche is. That's when I knew. I was like, oh, there are some signings here. Because I used to say Phillips. I used to say, I don't think Phillips was 100%. I was like, Jack Grealish is 100% his. Because I saw him hugging him.
No, I don't think Jack Grealish was 100% his.
I saw him hugging, smiling.
Hold on, bro. I'm telling you, I would put money on Jack Grealish not being 100% his.
I think that
Jack Grealish, just because you saw Jack Grealish when he arrived at the club, Pep say hi to 100 million player. Bro, Jack Grealish for me screamed commercial signing. It screamed.
No, the
fact that Jack Grealish.
To be honest, Jack Grealish screamed of, this is who we're buying because we couldn't get Harry Kane.
Yeah, I honestly think with Jack Grealish personally, I think they would have gone to him and said, what do you think of Jack Grealish? I think Pep would have said, we can work with him. But, bro, Jack Grealish was driven. The reason you pay 100 million and give Jack Grealish those wages, even based on what he was doing at Villa, that was based on him being a poster boy, right? And how much income he could bring into Manchester City. Because sometimes there's a balance between the two. A player can be good, but also commercially. And I think, my question to you, Patrick, is, because I agree with you, by the way, on the lineup. 100%. And I agree with you on your frustrations towards Pep Guardiola and like the fact that he put in all those, right. I think we kind of knew that.
Martin called it Dad's Army in midfield.
Yeah, it's Unks FC, right? And I think the whole thing is we knew when we looked at that Leicester game and we saw Kovacic not starting, Bernardo not starting, KDB not starting, Foden not starting. We all started thinking, fuck, we know where this is going, right?
Yeah.
I think it's even crazier that after starting 2 games, Gundogan then started the 3rd game, because I don't have an issue with there being 1 or 2 of the old guard in the team. It's having all 5 of them in there is mental. But so I do agree with you on that, right? And we'll definitely get into that more. But Patrick, the reason why I brought back to the first season under Pep is, are you saying you're done with Pep and that you think this is going to continue, this blind faith? Or do you think maybe that this is him almost being, we are where we are. I'm not going to treat these players this season that way. Next season, there will be a change. And he's just riding out the storm this season.
Yeah, but do you know what's funny about all that? Then why do you come to the media and say that, oh, we're going to sit down, you looking pissed off, we're going to sit down with some of these players and with their agents and tell them that some of them are not going to be here? That's what he said. So if you're making such statements, and also, I have answers for everybody. Like, I have answers. Even for Jack Grealish, I say that's his boy because he kept on playing him regardless whatever. If Pep, you're not his boy, he will find a way to play you somewhere where he doesn't want you and then leave you somewhere. Like, i.e. Phillips, Nunes, I don't think he's one of his. I think Nunes was just bought for him. The thing about it is that...
Well, clearly Nunes was definitely not his. After his comment yesterday,
that's
I'm going to enjoy this. I am going to enjoy this.
You see what?
I'm going to fucking. You see,
Alan, it's just
Alan, your chair's got wheels rolling backwards a little bit.
Good enough player to play.
Your chair's got wheels for a purpose. In the reverse gear.
I'm sat there at work going,
yep.
This is
now further back.
Absolute music. He was
further back, dickhead.
End of story.
I know you won. You won that one.
That's your fault, Patrick. You set him up. You set him up for.
No. He won on that one. Alan has been saying it for a while now. But what was I about to say? Okay, so the thing that's
I think we all won on that one. To be fair,
yeah. You know what's frustrating me is what this is April, isn't it? We bought those guys in January. People keep telling me, oh, it's a rebuild. It's a rebuild. I'm telling you, if you're doing a rebuild, you have to be playing the younger people. Blend them in a bit. Blend them more than you should. Because that's what you're preparing.
Hold on. Isn't Old Trafford away a bit more, too much?
Hold on.
It's not too much for Nico Gonzalez. It's not too much for Nico Gonzalez.
No, I agree with you on the Nico Gonzalez.
Okay, yeah.
It is.
I wouldn't have started Savio. I'll be real. I wouldn't have started Savio. Savio hasn't been in good form. Let's be real. Let's not gas a player just because he's foreign. Let's also not do that.
No. I think Foden has a worse form.
Foden should not have been on that pitch.
Bernardo Silva and Foden are worse than having them on the pitch. Like Bernardo Silva, what is he doing? Rondo, what is he doing? What is he doing on that pitch? I think somebody should just send me how many, what do you call those again? Heat maps. That's what he does these days. For the past 2 seasons, I said it 2 seasons ago, that what has Bernardo done since the treble? Nothing. I'm just saying there's certain players, when you point at Doku, when you point even at Marketing, or when you point at Savio, I just think like these other guys.
Stop me, Patrick. The McAtee thing needs to stop, man.
I'm just saying. At least they have shown something. They've shown at least a desire.
Bro, I'm sorry, McAtee. This McAtee thing, yeah. McAtee is a great example for me, right, of why we can't just go, oh, they're young, we must throw them in. McAtee, when he's been given opportunities, has not been great, bro. Like, Mcatee not one to use. McAtee's not a good example.
I think he's put more effort than some of these.
Well,
hold on. If we're talking about effort.
Nico O'Reilly is a great example of someone who didn't get as many opportunities as James McAtee, but he's taken his chances when they've been given to him.
Yeah.
He's had a couple of little shaky performances coming off the bench in some matches. I think Brighton and Ipswich, he was a bit poor, but the ones where he's been able to start, particularly the FA Cup games, he has really, really shone. And I think for that reason, that's made McAtee's performances look worse.
Yeah.
Do you know why he plays him as a fullback? Do you know why he plays him as a fullback? I think I told this to people. I think O'Reilly is such a good talent, and every time I saw him when he was benched on, even the Spurs game, he was benched on and put next to Gundogan. O'Reilly started winning the balls, like he was actually causing trouble in that middle. I just think this man has the excuse of putting some of these players.
Hold on, no. I've got to pull you up, Patrick. I'm not gonna listen. I'm here to vent my frustration at Pep. Stop calling Pep this man, please, bro.
Okay. You want his name? Oh, you want his name?
Okay, I'll use his name, Pep Joseph Guardiola. So Pep
Joseph Guardiola, the first. He's the first, isn't it?
Pep Joseph Guardiola, the first.
The first. Whenever I've seen, whenever he wants to make an excuse to put certain players somewhere, he will play players who have the ability. Like Nico, I think, has the ability to be one of the guys sitting next to a DM. He'll put them outside because he keeps saying, "Oh, they lose the ball." Do you know I've actually counted how many times Bernardo Silva and some of these other players have lost the ball? They've lost the ball more than even the Nunes is pointing at. That's when Alan is right. Nunes is not his guy because he just doesn't want him there. I'm just frustrated that this Man United game, this Man United team is poor. I've been watching them. They're so poor.
Yeah.
Yes, they're better than the United we played that beat us before, but they are very poor. For the fact, I repeat here, do you know I found out Casemiro dominated that midfield? He won 14 out of 15 battles in that midfield. Casemiro, who's 33 years old.
Yeah, bro, Casemiro had a good game.
Yeah. And then do you know what's more also? When I was surprised to find out Bruno Fernandes is 30 years old. Do you know why? What I saw? I was like, maybe there's a lack of motivation in this team. Because one of my friends told me quietly, said, Patrick, you guys are not only going to struggle with fatigue. You struggle with lack of motivation because some of these players have won everything, and they keep listening to the same manager every year.
All right. Hold on, Patrick, you've said too many things now, right? And that's me not saying you can't keep going, but I asked you a question and you sidestepped it.
Okay, right? Go ahead. Ask it again. I have so much frustration.
Are you Pep out yet?
No, I'm not Pep out, but I'm trying to say that
cool.
I'm not good.
I think it's very important to get that out there, because then it makes me understand. Cool. This is not an agenda. You don't want Pep out. You're just venting your frustration at the manager.
For me, this is the thing. I think the only thing is, I think a lot of people don't have the cojones most times to say what they feel because they feel someone will tell them that, oh, but it's Pep Guardiola. He's done this for years.
Yeah.
I say you judge somebody because the thing is, do you know what's breaking my heart? What happens to me in football is the same way with Jack Grealish and other players. When you see me venting, is I hype people too much. And when I hype them or when I back them, and then I see that, oh, how is this guy, if he's the best manager in the world, he's given players in January, I thought he was going to fix it. This man is failing to fix it. He's just failing to fix it. So I'm going to give him summer, as I told Martin, because Martin has been preaching in my ear saying, oh, summer, it's going to be beautiful, Patrick. It's going to be amazing. He's been painting this nice picture. So I'm waiting for summer. But I'm just saying it's been very disappointing to see even after January, he still plays the same players. But the funny thing is, whenever he plays the players bought in January, it improves. So that's what I'm saying. Go ahead,
This season has been a consequence of bad planning by the people at City, including Pep, and the directors that are helping get players and the scouts, has been solely responsible for bad planning, which is something that I've always said that Man City do well, is the planning is usually been very good. But this year and last summer has been horrendous. And we're paying the penalty for that in now in the league season when we're fifth or sixth in the league. And I personally think we'll finish about 7th or 8th. That's my personal opinion.
You think we'll finish 7th or 8th?
I said 7th.
Despite the fact that we got the easiest run in of all the teams around us.
What easy run? Can you
I look at it and say Villa are better than us.
Crystal Palace are very dangerous.
Crystal Palace aren't beating us at the Etihad.
Newcastle and Chelsea, yes, they're ahead of us, but they've got to play each other.
Everton
that's
are
a factor.
difficult to play
That's a
against.
factor.
I see it.
Everton away is
The last
Everton
thing those
away
teams
is
wanna do is
Everton
draw.
away is Everton away. I can't see us getting 3 points.
Wait,
No, I
isn't
agree with
that the
you.
same Crystal Palace that has caused us trouble even when we were fully fit? We
You
had
agree,
Yeah.
Patrick?
No,
Patrick,
I don't believe
Patrick,
we. I look at that Everton away game and I can't see us getting 3 points in that. But
Do you-
I
do
think
you-
Villa at home. I think that one's going to be fucking difficult. Bro, Crystal Palace at home. I'll be honest with you, bro. I can't see us losing that. Right? I hear what you're saying, and everyone's trying to talk up Crystal Palace. And do you know what? There's this narrative that we struggle against Palace and whatever. I've also seen us not struggle against Palace, so that is a bit of a. Everyone, there's always a team that you can go name 1 or 2 performances. I think we beat Palace, but my biggest frustration with the Derby game is that if we won that, I'm not having this concern about getting top 5, right? And it's not top 4 now; it's top 5. My biggest worry from that game is it's top 5 to get Champions League football. So that's all we care about, right?
Are you sure you're not gonna hear very soon?
No, bro, we might. That's what I'm saying. And that's because of that Man United game. If we beat Man United, right, and to beat Man United, we would have put out a lot better lineup. I'd be sat here now going, yeah, I'm confident we're going to get Champions League football. That lineup he put out, right, and the amount of mistakes Pep Guardiola made in that lineup, right, that worries me. That fucking worries me, right?
I think we touched on it last week. I think, again, this time last week, we were all chatting about the predicted lineup. I think the question we were discussing was, will he start Foden or will he start Kev? And I'm pretty sure the consensus was he'll start both, and that Foden he'll play as that almost winger kind of position, and he'll make room for all of those kind of senior players. It's almost like a default. He kind of just goes back to it anytime.
You're right, Nick. That's why I didn't get necessarily too upset about the lineup when it came out, because it was like we discussed this at a good length on the last show.
Yeah,
we did. So we can't necessarily be throwing our hands up in the air when we pretty much were, consigned to the fact we thought that about 80% of the squad that was selected we'd guessed anyway. So
the thing is for me,
go on, Nick. Off guard, Daps, was probably having Gundogan, Bernardo, and Kev all in that same. I thought Nico G was a lock, and again, it's kind of, I don't know if Pep's overthought it or if there's an injury kind of floating around on Nico G, but yeah, very strange.
Yeah, I think the frustrating thing is, right, and I said this on yesterday's show, is if you look at our last 3 games, we've had Bournemouth away in an FA Cup quarter-final that we needed to win, right? Bournemouth being quite a good team and it's away from home. Yeah. We had Leicester at home, right? Probably one of 2 bankers, even with Manchester City, you could have this season, are Leicester at home and Southampton at home, right? And then we had Man United away. So we had 2 more difficult games, and then we had 1 piss-easy game. It's frustrating that Nico Gonzalez only started the fucking piss-easy game. The one game we probably didn't need legs in midfield. We got legs in midfield. The other thing that frustrated me, and you're right, Pat, we knew that there were going to be certain players in that team. My biggest frustration was Doku not starting, right? And the only way I would be cool with Doku not starting against a Manchester United that have fullbacks playing as wing-backs, that we know you should be getting at. And also, that if you put wingers on the pitch, you then stop Garnacho having so much space because he's having to get back and defend a bit more. The fact that Doku wasn't on the pitch, and it wasn't because Savio was playing on the left, and it wasn't because Grealish was playing on the left. It was because a non-winger was playing on the left. That was the frustration to me was, I get there's going to be De Bruyne on the pitch, right? Yep. But it was the fact no wingers was like, Pep, what the fuck are you doing?
I would have been fine with just one of the quick wingers on the pitch. If you had Foden on one side, like we kind of predicted was going to be the case, and you had a Savio or Doku on the other, sure, that's fine. But to have none of them, I think was
it's criminal. It's criminal. against
remember
the
our
Man United.
conversation, Dubs? Remember our conversation about Jack? That he performs and then he gets dropped. He performs.
Yeah.
I
But
was thinking that there's where Silva was, put Jack there. Where Foden was, I was like, just throw Jack somewhere into this midfield. It's just, and then you know what's funny? This is the third or fourth time he's played Mamouche as a winger and played somebody else, Savio or Foden or Coin as a first nine. And you know what's silly? Why would you play the most creative person you have in the team as a first nine and he's 33, ask him to be pressing? Why don't you play him behind a guy who's good at running in behind? It doesn't.
Bro, having Kevin De Bruyne, right, in a season where Kevin De Bruyne, we have seen, has dropped off leg-wise, why you would want him to do the false nine role or pressing, is absolutely insane to me.
Yeah.
And one of the things we saw with De Bruyne in that game more than ever, and is him driving with the ball, but then him not having the power to make the pass or take or
ever since he did his leg in against Burnley, right? He had a massive operation, huge scar in his hamstring. He wasn't the same player, and that's a fact.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm going to go before that, Alan. I'm going to say what he had to do to help win us the treble was always going to happen down the track at some point.
Yeah.
Even if, remember, we've said this before in previous shows too. Even if he'd chosen to take the surgery after the Champions League final, I think he still would have been a risk of that happening anyway.
Of course,
and you're right, because I said it last season. Look, he came back in last season, was coming on as a sub and was looking good, but the minute he got a run of games together, he started dropping off. I can remember the Arsenal game and the Liverpool game last season. He got subbed off in both of them because he wasn't impacting the game, right? And then with him and Gundogan, the telltale signs with both of them was in the Euros. They both started the tournament well. By about the third game, both of them, their form was dropping off, right? And that's that. We look at Gundogan. It's like, yes, Gundogan looked great against Bournemouth. Gundogan looked good against Leicester, but it's like Pep's forgetting. No. We know Gundogan can be good if used as a bit part player. That's why when we brought him back, we thought, yep, as a bit part player, he'll do a job. You can't play him for a third game in a row. Like that's one of the frustrating things with Pep is it seems like this season he's not learning. He really isn't learning.
Yeah, that's a good point, Devs. I think touching on last week, we were all kind of wrapped with the way we played against Leicester. I know it's Leicester, very different kind of opposition, but we had that kind of free-flowing, the movement was back, the balls were kind of zipping across the pitch, and then to just roll, like completely take that confidence away from the players and play like a completely different format. That's my last
format. But mate, Nick, that format is played before, right? But the problem is, mate, is they're too slow in midfield.
Yeah, the passing the ball was
too slow in midfield.
And but you also didn't have one of the wingers to try and isolate a fullback.
Mate,
that was
the thing is that I can go on about the wingers saying we need the wingers. I'll be honest with you. I don't rate our wingers. I don't rate them.
Yeah, but again, Alan, they're United.
Savio and Doku beat players for fun, which they do, but there's zero end product.
Do you know what? With Savio, I agree with you with Savio, but I think at Savio's age, we're going to give him his first season. I've said this before. I personally think, as an example, I think we all rate Oscar Bob.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Again, not on the bench.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh,
I bet I put my money on it. Right. If Oscar Bob was in this Manchester City setup this season, he'd be having a season very similar to Savio.
Right.
Because let's be honest with Oscar Bob. Right. However good we think he is, the sample size on Oscar Bob is not that big. Right.
Yeah.
We had a great preseason from him. Right. But the way that this season has gone, I think you put any young player in it and it's not fair. Prime example is Riyad Mahrez. Riyad Mahrez had the comfort of joining a Manchester City team that were already fucking cooking, right? Yeah. And in Mahrez's first season, he wasn't great, right? He wasn't great. And he just set the Premier League alight at Leicester, right? But it's easy with Savio. He's a 20-year-old, and again with Mahrez, he was settled in this country.
Yeah.
Savio's a 20-year-old. He's just come to this country. We've got to give him a bit of time. Now on Doku, I do agree with you with his final delivery at times. But I actually think Doku has been one of our best players this season when played. I think Doku has been good. And I think Doku in a derby, Doku should have been on that pitch, simple and short. Doku has done enough over recent weeks to be on that pitch. He would have got asses off their seats.
Doku could have been a bit of an X-factor player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And furthermore, let's be honest. Let's look at the last 2 games against Manchester United. When I think Doku's came on as a sub in the last 3 now, right? He's terrorised them. That FA Cup final, when he came on, he terrorised United. How Doku wasn't on the pitch, I don't know. I really do not know. And against a Man United fullback playing as a wing back, Doku would have. And the mad thing is,
and they're so prone to mistakes, though.
They've been bringing people down near to the box. You could have got a pen with those guys. They're so.
Yep.
But
did you see? Also, someone mentioned this yesterday. I don't know if it's a Pep thing or a Doku thing. If it was a Doku thing, then the frustration's on Doku. But Doku came on, and within minutes, I think Dalot and Mason Mount were both on yellows. Yeah. And then Doku stopped running at him.
We did the same with Jack earlier on in the season against Villa, I'm pretty sure. Remember when he had Matty Cash on toes? Had Matty Cash on a yellow. He was real fired up early on in the game. And then all the play went down the other wing the next half.
Which is exact same thing happened, didn't it? And,
do you think there's a signal saying you're risking too much? We might get counted.
Yes.
So I think there is, because that's looking like one of the. I think there's do you know what pissed me off also, Dabs, in this game? The fact that they were celebrating goal kick as if they wanted the draw. Did anybody see that? Bernardo was going
we said this yesterday.
I was like, oh my God.
We said this yesterday.
Is that what you wanted? Here?
We said this on the show yesterday, right? There was times in the last 10 minutes of that game yesterday where I felt like we were running the ball towards the corner flag, right? And that's where, I'm not saying we were playing for a draw, and maybe it was a case of we got to a point in the game where Pep was like, do you know what? I would rather a draw than the PTSD of once again we go in like the derby earlier in the season where we but that's where I really think if we don't get Champions League football, it's on Pep a bit, because that game it felt like we were playing for a draw. It did.
Daps, could I ask you a question? Do you think all of what's happened to Pep in his personal life has affected his judgment?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
Or as Alan calls him, Timo Mancini.
Timo Mancini.
I do. There's no way it hasn't affected him. There's 100%. No way it hasn't affected him. It has affected him.
My thing is, we can blame Pep as much as we want. Whoever he puts out on the pitch at the moment is letting him down. Yeah. If I'm being entirely honest, no one's really living. Or there's maybe 1 or 2 players this season that have kind of looked at the level they should be. The rest of them have been miles off the level that we expect.
Another thing too is, should we also look at I think these are outlying factors towards a lot of the frustration was there was an opportunity there to gain some ground on some other clubs, given the fact that Forest had lost, Chelsea had drawn, and we knew Newcastle were going to play Leicester and probably batter them, which they did. I think that just amplified our frustrations even more.
Yeah, I totally. Do you know what? Right, what you were just saying there, Nick, about right. I feel like a positive from that game, right? And 2 players will come out of, at very least 2 players, maybe 3. I think. By the way, I think Edison was good. I think Edison. But more importantly, Vardiel and Diaz will come out of that game not happy because they want Champions League football and they wanted 3 points. But they'll come out knowing in 225 minutes of football, they have not conceded a goal together as centre-back partnership, right? Now, they've got some... I feel like Diaz and Vardiel currently will be going into games with something to play for, something to be excited about, right? maybe that's what, as a manager, you need to do. You need to give people something, give players something to be excited about. And at the moment, when you're going KDB, Gundogan, Foden, Bernardo Silva, what have they got to be excited about at the moment? Right? And what have they got to play for at the moment? Right? KDB knows he's going. Bernardo, I think Bernardo maybe... I personally think Bernardo is running down his contract so he can go back to on a free, right? Yeah. I think he's running down his contract to go back there on a free. So Bernardo already has his eyes on Benfica in 2 seasons' time or 1 season's time. I think Gundogan is probably already thinking either I'm blessed that I've got another year here if we do go with that contract extension, or alternatively, he's probably going to have... who is it? Is it Galatasaray? No, Fenerbahce, sorry. Or alternatively, he's going to go and see out his final year at Fenerbahce, who are really keen to take him to Turkey, where we know he's got a crazy love for. And as for Foden, well, Foden is just trying to fucking get his head back in the right place. You're not going to get any of those players I just listed excited. They've got nothing to be excited about, because... them being excited would be being in a title race, being in a Champions League semi-final or final. They've got nothing to be excited about. Meanwhile,
it's also a lot of them, if they do leave Daps, it's realistically us being in the Champions League next year. Does it affect them if they're gone? Like, that's something to consider as well. Like, realistically, I don't think they would.
Well,
Nick, we don't
deserve to be in the Champions League. We just don't.
Oh, yeah, but again, to Chelsea.
Yeah, but some of the players wanted. Some of the players wanted, though. Like, look, like even if
we'll start fucking performing then.
Yeah, but look at the.
Yeah, but that's what Nick's saying. That's exactly what Nick is saying, right? That the players that you're saying start fucking performing, right? They don't care if we get Champions League football or not, because they may well not be here to get that, right? The Dokus, the Savios, I'll be honest, right? Anyone that thinks Jack Grealish should be going this summer is insane to me, right? The only reason why Jack Grealish should go is, I understand, get 300 grand off the wage bill, right? But Jack Grealish still has a lot to prove in his football career, right? Jack Grealish still actually does have things to get excited about, right? These other players don't, right? And by the way, I'm not saying that Jack Grealish won't go, but if I'm looking at what we need to get rid of this summer, Jack Grealish is not the first. Jack Grealish should have been on that pitch for me. I'll keep saying it. Yeah, I will keep saying it. Some of these games we have lost this season, if Jack Grealish was playing over Kevin De Bruyne, I do not believe we would have lost.
Say the same thing one season.
And this is not Jack Grealish is a better footballer than Kevin De Bruyne, right?
He's a better number 10 right now. I keep saying it.
Right now, bro. Right now. And here's the thing. We all knew De Bruyne was starting that game, right? Yeah. De Bruyne, and there's part of the thing. The announcement came out, and that De Bruyne's leaving. So, all right, last Manchester derby, De Bruyne starts. Did you lot see De Bruyne at the end of the game? Did any of you think De Bruyne looked happy? Right? He had the City fans chanting his name. He had players from the other team coming over telling him how great he is. De Bruyne looked fucking pissed off, right? That's not how he wants to go out. Now, personally, I think De Bruyne off the bench, coming on in the 60th, 65th minute, because Jack often does need to be taken off after 65, 70 minutes, coming on, getting a round of applause, probably not just from the City fans, but a lot of the away fans as well, or home fans, not United, but other teams. De Bruyne should not be starting many games now. Like,
it can't be a farewell tour.
It's not a farewell tour. A farewell tour, honestly, to me, for De Bruyne would be coming off the bench when games are stretched, when he's got 20 minutes, can give his all for 20 minutes, and getting a round of applause off of the home and away fans, right? That is what would look like a farewell tour for me. But I have a feeling De Bruyne's going to start most games.
Yeah.
I hope not.
So you're saying for sentimentality reasons he's going to start most games, when tactically we should be doing what we did against Newcastle away last season.
Yeah.
He should be finishing off as a superstar, getting the wins, getting the results.
Exactly, bro. And I saw that from last season. And as for Foden, well, I think we said it on the last show we were here together with. We were saying that Foden
should be in Abu Dhabi.
That you can't play a player into form when the team's not in form, right?
There's too many players out of form to
and where his and the key with it is where his head is. With other players, we're presuming that certain players don't care if we get Champions League football. We're making a lot of presumptions here. With Foden, it's not a presumption that Foden's not in a good place because we've been told Foden is not in a good place, right? So
why, can I ask you, why is he not in Abu Dhabi with his kids and his missus and putting his feet up till July? Because in my opinion,
I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest with you because he's getting paid. That's not going to happen. Realistically, that is a great sentiment that he should be given the whole. And I wouldn't disagree that maybe in the summer he should be allowed to do that, but at the moment he can't do that. But what I would say is him coming onto the pitch in again the 65th minute and finishing a game is going to be better on his confidence than him starting a Manchester derby, having to hear the bullshit that them lot was singing about his mum, and then being subbed off, right?
Yeah.
His confidence today is worse than it was Saturday because being subbed off in a Manchester derby after not impacting the game doesn't help your confidence. And again, we're starting him, we're trying to play him into form. Tuchel said he's trying to play him into form. Everyone trying to play a player into form on a national team and a club team that neither are in form is mental to me. It is crazy. It really is. And then when we're looking at both of them, this is a key. De Bruyne and Foden, both of them, we're starting them, is mad.
The whole thing on the weekend was a mess. Okay, complete and utter mess.
Yeah,
and that's on Pep. It really is. And sometimes you need to call that out. I'm not saying Pep out, but I'll be honest with you. When the season finishes, I know we've got to go to the stupid World Club Cup competition that we have to play.
Oh, you're not a fan of that, Alan? That surprises me.
No. They all need a break. Pep needs to go and have a think about what he wants to do and why, because his personal issues he's got are too much for him at the moment, and he needs to make a decision what he needs to do moving forward. And then we have to rebuild depending on if we get proven not guilty in 115, because if we do, there's a different slant on it straight away on the type of players we can buy.
Let's not go there.
Yeah, if I'm being honest, Ellen, I think we're being a bit harsh. I think we're being harsh on the club. Obviously, we know we kind of needed a rebuild, but the club was holding out, basically being like, well, again, Pep pretty much said to them before this season that this was going to be his last, and that he was going to move on. So they've kind of kept it a clean slate, ready for a new manager to come in. And that's why I think we haven't started the rebuild the year before.
It's a mess, mate.
But Martin,
the tail wagging the dog.
That's not
Martin, hold on. I hear you. However, sorry, not Martin, Alan. Sorry. Yeah, far too negative to be Martin. To be fair to the club, look, there's a lot of clubs that need to make some changes, and they don't make changes. To be fair to the club, we had a month and a half of shit in from October through till December. In January, we went and brought some players in. So I think
didn't do anything then
the club are showing intent. We can't fully hold the owners accountable, the board accountable on this. We can hold them accountable for being where we are, 100%, right? But I do think Nick's right that I think
if we had a new manager come in at the end of the season and they couldn't bring in their players because Pep decided he wanted certain players, we'd be in more of a mess than we are now. I think
also the fact of Tiki as well. I think that there's been Pep has come out and said it was all on him, right? Pretty much said, he said we were fine. I think it was probably a bit more of a conversation than that. And I think it probably actually was the fact that to Khaldoon and others on the board, it was right. We don't know exactly where Pep is yet. We don't know exactly where Tiki is yet.
Yep.
So, we don't want to give a sporting director and a manager that both could leave within the next 12 months shitloads of money, right? I think that is probably what has happened. And I think Viana coming in, by the way, I think is massive and a good thing because Viana will... I'm going to say this in the nicest possible way. Viana won't put up with Pep's bullshit because he's not his best mate, right?
Yep, no.
He's an outsider coming in. And
a different perspective as well.
A different perspective, yeah. So I do think that's a positive.
Then that's how is that going to go? Because Pep likes control. And wherever he's gone, people say he likes to be in control.
Does he?
Yeah.
Interesting, because we were not long ago. In fact, on this show, we were saying that this club under Tiki, his friend, not under Viana, were buying players for him.
Yeah, but he also wants to be under control. That's the reason why he benches them. So if Viana starts going with him,
bro, I don't know. Right. Let me ask all four of you a question. Do we think that Pep Guardiola signs a further extension?
I do.
You do?
Yep.
Right. Alan?
Depends on how this next year goes.
Pat?
I think after his 2 years, he's done. I think he knows himself.
Right. And Pat, you think he signs an extension?
Yeah, I do.
Right. Okay.
What about you, Dad?
Interesting. I personally think he's here for the rebuild and rebuild only. I think
that's what I think, and that's
I think the fact that Tiki decided to leave was pretty much Pep saying, yeah, I'm not gonna, to Serrano, to Khaldoon, who he has a very good relationship. I think he's given them a bit of time to bring the players in and do his best.
No, I think this will be his last generation he brings through.
Yeah.
I personally
may
think
see him for another 4 or 5 years.
Oh, you really think so?
This will be his last. This will be his last batch or his last generation that he'll see if he can take them all the way to the top.
Yeah.
Well, you think he's gonna stay for 5 more years?
Well,
I reckon
it's possible. It's possible, but I mean, we've never looked at Pep being here for more than 2 or 3 years at a time. Anyway.
True.
So if you can look a bit more optimistic than just the 2 or 3 years, but I just think that if he's already extended for 2 and then he's bringing so many new players in. I think he's got so much that he's going to have to do to build these players up with his new style, his new formation that we're starting to see glimpses of. A lot more expansive and a lot more athletic and long balls and things like that. Like I wouldn't say it's a more athletic version of the Centurion season, but it sounds like to me it's going to be a very, very high pace, rapid tempo sort of style.
Sorry, there's just a comment, Lee. I'm going to come to your super chat afterwards, but this comment, beyond belief, Pep is inexperienced at regenerating teams, and we are seeing this now. Beyond belief. If you're on Twitter, if you're on Instagram, if you're on anywhere, I'm sure you've seen that photo of the squad that Pep inherited, and basically it all blacked out. The only player we have in this team that has not been brought in by Pep is Kevin De Bruyne. Every other player has come in under Pep Guardiola. So literally, Pep has been regenerating this Manchester City squad for the last 9 years, right? Now, admittedly, last summer, we missed the ball. But say Pep has not regenerated teams and we're seeing it now. Literally, we've seen it before our very eyes, him literally regenerate this whole Manchester City team. Because you go back to the team he inherited from Pellegrini, the only player in that team was Kevin De Bruyne. Every other player,
that's questionable. That's questionable. That he didn't
De Bruyne.
In
De Bruyne. Yeah, well, yeah, very true. There's a good chance he had a say in De Bruyne as well. Yeah, so I
because before we signed him, where was he? What was he doing? Playing for Wolfsburg and tearing up.
I don't agree with that.
I have a question for you.
Sorry, 1 second. Just got a super chat quickly. Or is the question relevant to that comment?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you think about it, right? How many successful midfielders has Pep brought into this Man City team?
Right, so Ilkay Gundogan was a Pep Guardiola, right? And that was very much a Pep Guardiola signing to the point where, not just to the point where it was signed while he was at the club. It was them asking him, should we sign him? He's injured, and him saying, yes, you go and fucking sign that player. So Ilkay Gundogan, Rodri,
He's the most Pep signing ever. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other midfielders we've even signed. Who else have we signed midfielders?
You can't count Bernardo. You can't count Bernardo because he played him as a winger.
Bernardo. So Rodri, Bernardo Silva, Ilkay Gundogan.
Mm-hmm. But Silva, Silva is half and half because he played him as a winger most of the times.
I wouldn't always say he has played him as a winger most of the time. I can think of some of Bernardo Silva's best performances were in midfield, not as a winger.
Patrick, he can just go down to another example of Pep taking a player and making him more versatile as well, which can apply to probably more than 3/4 of the players that have ever come through the door at City while Pep's been manager.
Well,
there's so many of them that have become more than just the players they thought they were going to be.
I'll be completely honest. If we're talking, and by the way, on the Kevin De Bruyne one, from what we've heard from Fernandinho, and I think it's pretty common knowledge, that was a Pep signing. So if we're going, right, or if we're saying...
What was the Pep signing? KDB?
Yeah.
No, let's leave it there.
No, have you not seen what Fernandinho said?
I know, but...
What, you don't think that was a...
So Raheem is also a Pep signing, isn't it?
Bro, I mean, potentially, but
that indirectly he was a Pep
indirectly. I don't mind. We can remove the KDB one. If I'm sitting here and saying Rodri, Ilkay Gundogan, and Bernardo Silva, right, who basically won us a treble, a four-peat, and a Champions League while we're at it as well, yeah. Well, I don't think we're really questioning. Are we questioning Pep's ability to sign good midfielders? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, recently.
Recently, okay. Recently. Now, if we're doing recently, I wouldn't disagree with you. If we're doing recently, Darwin Núñez.
Fucking well, what he said yesterday.
Calvin Phillips.
No, but in all fairness, I don't blame him. Man. These days, even a player like David Silva, a player that's of David Silva, even Gundogan and KDB's ability, they're hard to find. I've been scouting and I can't find. Even when somebody hypes them, saying this kid is so good, I go check them out. I was like, that's not even better than Gundogan at his worst. It's just, it's hard. The number 8s are difficult. The box-to-box and number 8s and number 10s are dying off slowly. They're not as good. I used to think Odegaard will be the guy who takes over De Bruyne in the league. Then I studied him.
He's not it, bro.
He's not. I was like, it's not him. It's not him.
Odegaard is more, for me, Odegaard is more, I'm not going to say he's like David Silva because he's fuck all like David Silva, but he's more of a David Silva.
Genius.
Yeah, exactly. But
he's a Timo version. He's a Timo version of David Silva, not Kevin De Bruyne. Odegaard ain't got them De Bruyne passes in him. He's got that David Silva way of playing more. Just want to do the super. Yeah. So really appreciate the super chat, Lee. I thought the lineup was criminal. The effort from the players was as criminal, and I'm crying to see Jack in the 8 role. Finally, the fact Nobbins hasn't dropped the Echeverri video is criminal. I agree. I will. Do you know what? Hold on. I'm gonna send this to him in a second, right? So on that, I totally agree with the first bit about the lineup. I think we're all very clear with that. There is one positive from the lineup we'll speak on briefly because we've got to try and end these shows positively. Effort from the players, completely agree. And as for Jack in the 8 role, Jack in the 8 role, Jack in the 10 role, Jack centrally. But the mad thing is, against United at the weekend, I would have took Jack on the wing as well. I would have put Jack anywhere on there. But really appreciate the super chat, Lee. Right, someone was about to say something then about Echeverri, I think.
Yeah, I was me. What has happened to him?
He hasn't started yet.
Training with the team.
I know that, but what's he doing? Because we've heard all this guff about him about Christmas time when he was playing in this World Club Championship thing, and it's just disappeared. Where is he?
He's there. He's been training all the time, and he's on the most winning teams. Sometimes he's in the winning teams.
He has just played a full calendar season in South America, and then straight after that, he went into the CONMEBOL under-20s as well too. So you've got to factor those in. I'm not saying it's a be-all and end-all, Adam, but you have to factor those in.
Yeah.
Remember when Alvarez came in? He didn't exactly hit the ground running either. They took their time with him.
Is he better than what we've got?
But Alan, there's
hold on, Alan. Who are you asking?
Everyone.
none of us can comment because people that
I can tell you straight up. Realistically, if you bring Echeverri into the team ahead of Marmoush, Foden, and Kev, the 3 10s, but one of them is going to be furious that they're missing out if they're not even in the squad, because you've got to get someone out of the squad to get him in as well, and Bob as well can play in that position. I think it comes down to kind of there's a pecking order, mate. Like you
respect.
Yeah, I think
you can't just throw him in and sorry, Kev, you're not in the squad this week, mate. Like,
I think. Look, there is something, and
I'd love to see him get minutes.
I want to see him get minutes. I want to see him off the bench. For me, I'm not here saying Echeverri needs to start every game. I'm not here saying Echeverri should be. I do personally think he should be an option on the bench. And I think you're right with my whole thing would be, what's the worst that could happen? Right? Because at the moment our 10s aren't 10ing. Right?
Yeah. What's
To be honest, I think the only way we're going to see him now is if we wrap up top 4, top 5 with games to spare and the Club World Cup.
Yeah. Now my whole thing is, and I think on a show on this channel, I was speaking on his age, and I was speaking, and someone straight away in the comments after the video was, Daps, Yamal is the same age and he's doing it at Barcelona every game. Well, Yamal is Spanish. He's been at Barcelona his whole life, right? And he probably still lives at home with his mum and dad, or maybe now he's got a flat and he's back. But his mum and dad now, Echeverri is 18 or maybe just turned 19.
Thank you. 19.
Yeah, right. So he's 19. He's literally just moved to this country, right? He doesn't know City's style of play. He hasn't been around this group of players growing up, right? He hasn't come through our academy. So this whole, oh, well, if Yamal can do it at Barca, why can't he do it here? Anyone that thinks that it doesn't matter about a player's age moving to a completely different part of the world where you probably don't understand the language, right? You haven't lived life yet, right? You really have not lived life. There is a settling in time. And the prime example is Leroy Sané. When Leroy Sané came to Manchester City, the first 4 or 5 months, we didn't see much of him because he was homesick, right? His mum and his sister had to move out here for him to actually become happy. Yeah. Like
Gabriel Jesus, you have to get his mum to come out here once every couple of months. Out to Manchester.
And also, this is a valid point as well. When people say, well, Yamal's doing it at Barcelona. Yeah, Yamal's generational, right?
Man said of all time. Did you watch Messi when Messi was young?
Yeah. But I do think that
also, we haven't been in games where we've had big enough leads to bring him on.
Yeah, I agree. Now there has been 1 or 2 games where I have thought, you know what, we don't seem to be breaking them down. Like, I think, what was the one that I really, Forest, I think it was, where I was thinking, do you know what, just throw him on for the last 20, but he wasn't there. But I do want to see him. I'm not saying, let me be clear, I'm not saying I don't want to see Echeverri. I'm not saying that I think it's a bit mad that he's not been on the bench and an option. But when I see online this insanity that, you know, Echeverri should be starting and all of that, and people, the whole thing of when people say, oh, age doesn't matter if you're good enough. I agree as a footballer, but this is not just about being a footballer. This is about being a human being in a completely different country where you don't understand the language, and, you know, you have to allow him to settle in. And also, Pat, you're right. He's played a full season of football and then a tournament, which he kind of got a bit of a knock in. And I'm still here saying on Oscar Bob, I want to see Oscar Bob, but we have to be very careful with Oscar Bob at the moment as well, because he's had a long injury. We have to warm these players in. I do think we'll see Echeverri a lot in that Club World Cup, and I think that's the important thing Pep needs to do for this Club World Cup.
Yeah,
the more senior players, the Fodens as an example. The Club World Cup is a perfect opportunity for Pep to say to Foden, look, maybe let him come, but say, Phil, why don't you bring your family with you? And You can be there for one or two of the photo shoots, maybe turn up on game day and be on the bench just to appease the City fans that are going to be there. But ultimately, the other days, fuck off to Disney. Go to Disney with your family. Spend some time with your family. And I did hear Pep in a press conference say that he's told the players and he spoke with the board about it, that he's treating the Club World Cup as a holiday, that he knows there's some great golf courses over there that he expects to get time on. They want to win and they will be doing their duties over there. But I think Pep's even seen it, that it's a great tournament to give your Echeverry, give your Oscar Bobs, give your Nico O'Reillys, give if we bring in Wirtz, any other players we bring in, Kuzanov, Vitor Hayes, all of these younger players and these new players at the time, Savio.
Start them.
The players that we are keeping, not selling, right, that are older and have been ran into the ground, we shouldn't be seeing them in that tournament. They should be ultimately, you're coming over there with us, yeah, do your duties, but apart from that, spend the time with your family and have a rest break.
Lastly on Echeverry, Dabs, also just quickly. Sorry, Alan, give me 2 secs. Just quickly on Echeverry, I think also Pep's just protecting him. The last thing you want to do is bring him into a game where we need to win. Again, top 4, top 5s are almost a must this season.
Yeah.
Bring him in, even if it's 15 minutes off the bench. If he turns that ball over, we concede a goal, his confidence would just be shattered.
Yeah,
and I think Pep's always been good at protecting the younger players.
Look at how ruthless some of the fans have been towards Savio this season when he hasn't.
Exactly
when he's made bad decisions. Yeah.
So I don't think we're going to see him in these last kind of.
Again,
the Club World Cup makes sense too, because I think half our games have been played in Florida anyway. And Florida's like, people don't realize how much of a huge sort of Western country sort of satellite that is for Latin American players. Like, it's big
just
when you're down in Florida.
Two things here. So this one, how comes Rico Lewis has the ability to play, but Echeverry hasn't? Echeverry's a better player. It's ridiculous. Perspective. Have you listened to anything we've said for the last 10 minutes? Because I don't think any of us.
We just mentioned Lamine Yamal and La Masia.
But
Rico Lewis falls in the same category. I'm not talking about the quality player, but came through the bloody academy since he was a little tight.
But this is the whole thing. We're not talking about the quality of the player. I strongly am convinced that Echeverry is a better quality of player than Rico Lewis. However, we've literally just said Echeverry's been in Manchester for a month, right? He's 19 years old. He doesn't speak too much English, yeah? And he's had a whole season playing. He's just played a tournament. He hasn't played with this group of players or squad. He hasn't come through the academy. How many other things do we have to list? There's another comment as well that this one, a lot of money to be won, Daps. The club will go all out to win it. Now, if I'm right, if we just take part in that tournament, we already get quite a few fucking million, don't we?
Yeah.
It's $100 million US if you win it.
Yeah. And if you don't win it?
30.
25. Yeah, 25, 30, I've heard. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. I think the club will want to win it, but I think look, from what I'm going by what I've heard Pep say, I think they will also be looking at the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is, yeah, we can win this now, but it's going to impact our whole season next season in the Premier League and the Champions League. I don't think
I've said it before. Sorry, Nick. Just going to say this whole playing an extra 3 or 4 weeks with the Club World Cup, and then such a short recovery before you have to start again. And let's be honest, even God forbid, as much as I want to win the FA Cup, I'm not looking forward to the Community Shield. Because there's going to be another one of those dilemmas again about who's going to be ready to play. If you look back on the 2021 season, when we had to do that quick restart from, the extended break from the Champions League before we started the next season because of the pandemic. Remember how out of shape and how out of form our players were, how inconsistent we were.
Yeah.
Look at that 5-2 against Leicester. We're at a risk where if we go really deep in that tournament, we maybe have a lot of players that'll be very on and off coming back into next season. So we're going to have another situation again where we may start the first game, it might get drawn against like a lower team or something, and then we play against a good team like a Villa or something, and Villa pump 6 goals past us or something like that. Because lightning can strike twice with these sort of things, and when you talk about starting and stopping these players under unusual circumstances, then you're going to see some really unusual results as well.
Yeah,
and I don't think we want to see that again because we saw the way we started that season. Remember that season when we came out of COVID, how poor we were in the first half.
Yeah. We lost 5-2 to Villa, didn't we? Lost 5-2 to Villa. Sorry, 5-2 to Leicester at home. 5-2 to Leicester at home, didn't we? Yeah.
Was it the same week too when Spurs battered United with 6 and then Villa scored?
Yeah. And Liverpool lost. It was mental. Yeah. Sorry, and perspective. You've then said Kuzanov doesn't speak English either, and you followed on to say silly argument again. Kuzanov has started at centre-back because we've got 3 injuries at centre-back. We're talking about Echeverri in a 10 when we've currently got multiple other 10s to play there. So
I'd also say a midfielder in a Pep team is incredibly difficult to play compared to a centre-back. Yeah. The centre-back has so much time on the ball as opposed to a midfielder.
And Kuzanov was playing in the Champions League, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's valid. Kuzanov's been playing in the Champions League. But also, the whole Kuzanov thing, Pep has literally come out and said, oh, my camera's doing it again. Pep's literally come out and said that it wasn't ideal that he's had to come in and start games straight away. But with the injuries we've had, he's had to. So it is, I understand you might not think it's valid, right? But Echeverri, whether you like it or not, he is I use Leroy Sané as the example. He's coming. We don't know how he's settled into Manchester yet, so we have to give that point. So you guys,
how do you think people are going to take it if he gets loaned?
you lot answer that.
Yeah.
I don't think they should though. I don't think they should. I think there's such a talent in there. You know, like when you're looking at the other talent. I remember when I told people that Alvarez will stay. Is you just saw something different. There's difference in there. Yes, Peroni, you could see that there's talent, but it wasn't the Alvarez one. Like Alvarez was just an X factor. Echeverri is a kid who it was 18 and he's been thrown with 20-year-olds and 21-year-olds, and he's takes over that team. You saw the under 20s or the Argentina one. He took over that team, and every time I was watching the games, he would drop deep, take the ball, dribble pass, get them. He's just everything. He was just doing everything. And that's when you see this kid has the guts. He just reminded me of Musiala, how Musiala was young and did not care that I'm playing against older players. So I don't think he's going anywhere. If they send him somewhere, then they better be bringing 2 top-class midfielders. Then they're bringing 2 top-class midfielders.
And let's be clear, right? I'm not saying that, and I don't think any of us are saying we don't want to see Echeverri, right? I think just to literally say it's insane that he hasn't started yet is insane, right? We don't know any of the reasons. There's many valid reasons to why maybe we haven't seen him yet, right? And just to use that as no, he must start and put it. There's so many things we can call out on Pep at the moment. The not starting Echeverri one is probably a lesser thing to call out. Let's call out that fucking lineup. Let's call out there not being wingers on the pitch. Let's call out Nico Gonzalez not starting. There's many things that we can call out. The whole thing with Echeverri, just let him cook. And I think he will cook in the Club World Cup, by the way. Him and Vitor Hayes are going to be 2 little stars for us, Oscar Bob. Last thing, I do want to end it on a positive. In fact, let me just check what the likes are on, because the likes have been shit today, people. Only on 100. Please, there's at least 60 of you in here that have not hit the like button yet. Let's get 50 more likes, please, before we end this show. So, people, there's at least 60 of you watching right now that have not liked the video. Please get those likes up. It will help this show go out to a lot more people once we end. Right. A positive for me. Vardiol and Diaz partnership.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
Now, are we confident that Pep sticks with this?
Nah, you better enjoy it before his favorite comes back.
I'm just
you better enjoy it now.
Sorry, one last one before perspective. You promised me it's your last question. My last question, Savinho came from South America as well. How come Pep seemed him ready? Bro, come on, he didn't. He played in Girona, Bro, he played in Girona, where they speak Spanish, right? He hasn't come from South America. He's come from South America via...
Brazilians speak Spanish. like there's the influence is so strong that they speak Spanish as well as they speak Portuguese.
Anyway,
he was in the La Liga team of the prospect.
He was in La Liga.
He's a CFD group / feeder club.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
No,
Anyway,
I'm happy with the Diaz Guardiola partnership. I think it's the same back for 2 or 3 games in a row.
2.5. 2.5.
Nunes was good too, by the way, even though he was.
I disagree. I disagree. I think Nunes did some. I think Nunes did some good work. However, I think we got lucky that Garnacho and fucking what's his name, Dogu, couldn't link up for shit. Because if they could, if Garnacho put the right weight on passes or perspective, it's all love always. Perspective, start a YouTube channel, definitely. And you're welcome to come on. By the way, as long as you have your camera on, you're welcome to come on whenever you want as well. So give us a shout on Instagram. We'll get you on. I personally think that if Garnacho and Dogu actually combined a bit better, they could have got in down that side because they had Nunes on toast a few times. It's just their final ball wasn't great. So, but a positive. Let me put this idea to you next season and see how you think. A centre-back pairing of Diaz
and
Vardiel, right? And then in front of them...
That'll be a 1 and 2. That'll be a, number one combination.
And then in front of them, Nico Gonzalez and Rodri.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Right.
And then on either side of them, 2 absolute rapid AF fullbacks.
Yeah.
2 fullbacks in. So we get 2 fullbacks in the summer and we get an 8.
Yeah.
It changes a lot. Patrick, you happy with that centre-back partnership and then that midfield or?
Yeah, I think it's the way forward. I think Josko, I've been arguing with one of my friends, Mateus. He keeps saying, Patrick, keep dreaming. He's going to play left back. I was like, yeah, but Josko's generational. This was the guy. I think it's time for Josko and Diaz. I think because Akanji's going to be 30 or 31. John Stones is 31. I think it's Josko and Diaz, and then the other guys have to be coming off the bench going forward. I think that's the way. And with the 4 backs, I think we all desperately need 4 backs in this team to give us a sort of another creative dimension. And then if you look at, what's his name? Gonzalez. He can actually play attacking midfielder and he can also play box to box. So he's perfect. We just need a creative mid. I think, you know what? I think Micah Richards, as many people hate him, he did say something. He said, by KDB leaving, you guys might see one of the best Fodens. I think we might actually see one of the best Fodens next season. And I'm putting money on that. I think, I mean, like, look.
You'll certainly see a revival from
I'm talking about the formation you're talking about. You're saying if you put Rodri and Gonzalez, then you have Foden saying you're free to do whatever you want, or you've got Jack Grealish, you're free to do whatever you want, or Wirtz. I think they'll be more comfortable as a number 10 to be free.
Yeah, maybe I hear that, but it's just at this point when we're saying, don't worry, guys, Foden's going to be back cooking next season. I don't want to start putting my hopes on that just yet. Foden's going to take. I think Foden's going to take some time. You know, I think he needs to be given this. I think he needs to be given the summer off, and then he needs to be.
What's up?
He needs to be almost. We go back to what we've done with Foden before, where not as much because it took 3-4 seasons, but I think the start of next season, I don't necessarily want Foden to be our starter.
I'll throw you one, guys. I think if we bring in Florian Wirtz, I think that'll be a massive kick up the arse to Foden to be like, I've got someone to
can I just spin that a little bit?
I'm not just going to get handed the keys to this midfield.
Can I just put?
I think you're right on that.
You need healthy competition in every position.
What does the panel think on if we don't make Champions League? Do you think Wirtz will come?
No.
You do, Pat. I don't think we do.
Even Gibbs White wouldn't come. Why? He's the captain of a team playing in the Champions League. Why would he come?
Okay.
They will, because most of our players either come for Pep or they come for the project.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, the Champions League.
I don't think Pep, but personally, I don't think Pep's part of the project.
We're in Europa League. That's fine.
I don't know, man. But I don't think Pep's necessarily. This is where we differ. I don't think Pep's part of the project.
I think he is, Pat. I'm with you on that, mate.
I hope. By the way, I still hope he is. Let me. let me be clear. I still hope he is.
I'll throw this to you, Daps. If you gave Pep 500 million to bring in all these exciting new players that he gets to work with, he gets to mold, there's nothing more than that's exactly what he wants.
Right.
Exaggerated
If
number.
Pep is given 500 million, Manchester City are boiling piss, right? Because bro,
Exactly.
the rivals, if we spend and by the way, I do hear the 500 million.
Please make it happen.
Me and LB did this the other day, yeah. Because if we get in so far, I've seen Wirtz 100 million, right? I've seen Camavinga 80 million, right? That's 180 million.
Rogers thrown around.
Yeah, I've seen Morgan Rogers.
45,
I've seen Cambiasso. That's going to be at least 60, 65, yeah?
Yeah.
Bro, remember, key here, Ederson is leaving in the summer, right?
As a keeper, yeah.
When Ederson leaves, yeah, Ortega will be like, right, I'm number one. When the club tell Ortega, nah, you're not number one, we're bringing in a replacement, he's gone as well. So we're going to need to buy 2 goalkeepers, right? One of Ederson's level or better, and one of Ortega's level or better. That's going to cost another 70 million at least, right?
2 fullbacks.
Yeah, 500 million is about what we fucking need at this point.
Yeah,
but
there'll be another investigation if we spent 500 million.
We're gonna have to sell then. We're gonna have to sell. So who's able to be sold?
But you've also got to factor in the club itself hasn't actually been spending a lot over the past few seasons.
No.
We've kind of topped up 1 or 2 players, but our outgoings have been huge.
Yeah, they have. So, but anyway, right. Anything anyone else wants to speak on quickly?
Nah, we're good.
Nah, that was a really good show, lads.
Lovely.
Alan wants his hot pot.
Alan, you want your hot pot, yeah? And I need to start packing. I've got a show in half hour. I need to get my suitcase down.
Where you going?
Ras Al Khaimah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, going there for a week. So I am taking my laptop, so I'm hoping to still do shows from over there. We've got a few more.
I'll hopefully see some pictures on Instagram of you then.
You definitely will. And do you know what? The beauty is I get to watch tonight the Arsenal game while I'm flying.
Nice.
How good.
So, yeah. Predictions. Let's just get a quick one. Predictions on.
Are you going to do your hotel previews as well? You know, you
always. Yeah. 100%.
Stable diet of your social media, mate.
Yeah. And my daughter's going to be featuring heavily as well. I'm going with my daughter, my mum, and my brother. So, yeah, nice little break. Right. Just some predictions on tonight's game. Arsenal v Real Madrid.
3-0 Madrid.
At the Emirates.
I think they'll go and cook them.
Do you know what I'm wanting it to be, Nick? I'm wanting it to be like, you know what Madrid did to Liverpool at Anfield last season?
Yeah.
They came out of the blocks hot with those 2 goals, and then Madrid just absolutely just put them to the sword.
Yeah.
Gabriel,
something like that. They get on this hype train for 20-30 minutes.
Gabriel.
Bang.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Arsenal. I think Arsenal are in for a rude awakening.
Marino is that striker. Marino.
I think Arsenal might win tonight. You know,
I do 2-0.
I think Arsenal win tonight, but I don't think they go through. Unfortunately,
how are they going to stop Mbappe and Vini and thing with
the only thing that's stopping
without Gabriel? That's the worry. I think the other thing is as well, they can't really rely on the set pieces because Gabriel's pivotal to their set pieces as well. So. But yeah, we will see. It seems mad that we.
Do you think Rudiger, who locks up top class strikers, Lewandowski, Haaland, he won't lock up Marino? Marino, nah. I'm telling you, these guys are in for a shock. I'm telling you, because this team, this Arsenal team is just missing a lot.
If there's one player in that Madrid squad who I think is just an absolute beast to make Arsenal's life an absolute hell, I think it's Valverde.
If you fancy winning the Champions League, who do you think will win the Champions League this year?
Who? Madrid.
Yeah.
I want to give it to PSG.
I say PSG this year.
I would love a Madrid Barca final and Barca to win it. But I just think Madrid are going to win it again. I think Madrid will shithouse it the way they always do.
I think that's the only team that can beat them. Barcelona. They seem to have that number these days.
Yeah.
Do you think Inter's an outside, a bit of a dark horse to get to the final?
Oh, Inter, yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
Inter can grind out results.
Yeah, that's a good point, Pat.
Yeah.
After all this, you find it's Aston Villa. I'll be surprised. I'll be so laughing. Villa.
Nah, that ain't happening. And do you know what? I will put one thing out there. If Arsenal do, and this is only if they do manage to overcome Madrid over 2 legs, right? If Arsenal do overcome Madrid over 2 legs, I would not rule out Arsenal winning it, right? Because I think the confidence they could get, of beating Real Madrid. And here's the thing. The season we won the Champions League is the season we overcame Madrid, right?
Yeah.
If you can overcome Madrid, what that does for your confidence, you can never rule out, because look, you can't talk about heritage.
In the manner in which they win, though, because what we did in that 4-0 second leg was a huge factor.
Do you know what?
If they just scrape through on penalties or something.
If you can shit out some
don't
result,
know how much momentum they take in. That's the only thing.
Yeah, I do hear it, but I think if you can shit house,
Confidence would be massive.
if you can shit house a way of beating Madrid, right, then you can shit house against anyone. Because you can't. Yeah. For me, heritage was the reason why it took us so long to win that first Champions League, was because we didn't believe, we didn't have the heritage, all of that. Once we went and beat Madrid, there's no coincidence that's the season we went on and won it. But I hope it doesn't happen. I don't think it will happen. I think they're going to get a rude, even if they win tonight, I think they're going to get a very, very, very rude awakening when they step into that Bernabeu. So, but anyway, really appreciate you lot coming on. As always, Patrick, you got any shows coming up today?
Yeah, at 11:30, yeah, right now.
Oh, right. Hold on a second. Let me just go and switch the redirect on then. How do I do that? Different.
I pray to God that they get embarrassed. I'll be so happy. I hope they get grilled nicely.
I couldn't bear Arsenal fans going up with them. So can you imagine it?
Do you know what? The mad thing is where I am with it at the moment. I got asked this on a show a minute ago, and where I am with it, like someone said, I bet you'd love Arsenal to lose. I said, I don't care at the moment. I said, because my concerns are my own house. I don't care about rivals at the moment. Like, honestly, however much I would love to banter all my mates who love to banter me, I don't care. I just want my club back fucking performing. I don't even fucking care about it, to be honest.
I think there's just a special place for Arsenal fans. That's why. Even sometimes when you're in misery, you just look at them and say, I hope you guys, your misery is worse. Because, my God. I wouldn't trust me. Don't let them win a Champions League. We will not sleep. Oh my God.
No, I hear you. So people, we are redirecting over to Patrick's channel right now. So City fans, stay where you are. Go over to Patrick and you can hear Patrick cook Pep Guardiola. Refer to Pep Guardiola as this guy. Yeah. This guy, you cheeky bastard. Right. Go over there. And you can cook him as much as you like. Patrick, if you can redirect back over to Never a Foul afterwards, that would be great, please, mate.
How do you redirect, by the way?
Go into customization.
Okay. Great.
Go into videos, go to customization, and then at the bottom it says redirect. And at that note, they've said, Daps, you spoke too much, so we are out. Peace, people.
Been censored.
Right. See.
Yep.